Hey there. So, looks like you're quick. You're waiting. I'll give it a few seconds until we have some people on board. And yeah, what we're going to talk about today specifically is about money, right? So, we're going to be talking about budgets and so forth. And that is more related to people that work freelance or are planning to work freelance than people that work in a studio. Okay. So I'll just give it a sec. I'm all prepared. I have the C for Coke and the C for coffee. I'd offer you some, but hey, technology isn't there yet. So we'll just give it a sec, all right? Okay, so who do we have here? Unity of Gaming. We have Consisto77. We have Pavan. We have Ivan. Right. Okay, guys. So, like I said, what we're going to be talking about is about money, right? We're going to be talking about money and how much money you need to make, how you need to set up a budget, how do you need to cover for hardware costs, for software costs, for cost of living, right? And how does that translate to how much money you need to make doing your 3D work, right? So I can talk in general, but what I like to do is to answer questions. So if you have any questions specifically related to this topic, then I would love to dive into that, right? So let's see what we've got. Well, a lot of questions about freelance work online. Like I said, guys, I want to keep this specifically on topic. The topic is money, right? So money as in how much money do you need to make? How do you budget, right? How do you budget for hardware, for software, and so on, okay? So, okay, let's see. Lightning Lad is saying, what's a good way to start getting freelance jobs? Hey, Anna. So Jan is one of my patrons, so thank you for that. So Lightning Lad, the best way to get started with freelance jobs is to kind of figure out whether it will work for you to do freelance jobs. Now, let me explain that. As you probably know, there's a lot of competition out there, right? Many people want to make it as a 3D artist, and many people want to make a living as a 3D artist. Now, there's a distinction between people that have a kind of a passive income and sell some 3D models now and then and maybe make, 50 or $100 a month. That's a big difference between somebody that's doing that full time and call it their job or their profession, right? Now, if you're planning to become a full-time 3D freelance artist, you need to do a lot of prep work, right? So you need to know exactly how much money you need to make and how that relates to how much people make in the industry in general. So if your calculation comes up to, okay, I need to make $200 an hour, where everybody is asking for $50 an hour, you're not going to get any work, right? If you're going to lowball that and say, well, I'm going to ask $5 an hour because I'll beat everybody, well, you beat everybody, but the thing is, you will be out of business in a week because you can't pay your bills, right? So how do you get started? Starting a freelance business means doing research. So number one, how much money do you need to pay all your bills? So do you have running software costs that you have to pay monthly? You need to replace your computer at some point. You may need a vehicle, a car to drive and whatnot. So you add all these costs together, right? Then you have money you need to invest in the future, to buy new software, new hardware, and so on and so forth. And then all of that has to be earned in the number of hours that you can work on a weekly basis. Now, people think when they work freelance, okay, so I got, 5 working days a week. I can work 8 hours a day or 10 or whatever, right? So this is my earning potential. However, that is not correct, because if you're working freelance, you have a lot of hours that are not billable, right? I mean, you are talking to clients, you are making quotes for clients, you are driving to and from clients. All this time is time that you're not making money, right? So you need to be realistic how much hours a week you're actually making money, because that's the time you have to earn the money that I just mentioned, okay? So let's see, any specific questions here? Okay, so there's a question here from Yotam saying, where are you publishing your freelance applications? Um, do you mean applications as in where am I looking for 3D jobs? Because it really doesn't work that way. It's a matter of building a professional network, right? So, first of all, I would advise you to get involved in forums where there are 3D artists and be intelligent about it, right? Give good, professional, constructive feedback, post on a regular basis. People will know you and start to understand that you are a professional, that you create good work, and so forth and so on. Then from there, you start to link to people. You create a LinkedIn page, an ArtStation page, and your network becomes bigger and bigger and bigger. And at a certain point in time, people will have a project and will know you because they know you from the forum or so on, and they will send you an email and contact you, and that's how you do that, right? Let's see, money from YouTube. Well, I'm just going to be honest here, guys. If you are planning on earning money off of YouTube, well, basically forget it, right? YouTube is a nice platform to share information as far as educational videos and so forth. But if you have this idea in your head that you're the next Casey Neistat with, or PewDiePie or whatever with millions and millions of subscribers, in order for you to get millions of subscribers, you need to have a topic on your channel that appeals to millions of people, which is usually people falling off buildings, people, I don't know, dropping buckets of Coke on their head, that kind of stupid stuff, right? As soon as you get really specific into technical stuff, into stuff that not a lot of people do, you're never going to make that big number, right? And I mean, I work as an independent. I know there are other tutorial channels that are bigger than I am, but these are typically groups of people, so companies or groups of artists. For me as an individual, I think my channel is pretty big and will not probably be a lot bigger than that, right? I'm never going to make 1 million subscribers. I don't think so. And even if you do make 1 million subscribers, maybe, just maybe, you're making like $800 a month, right? So that's not a way to make a living, trust me. Let's see. Any questions related specifically to money, guys? So please keep it on topic, right? So let's see. Okay, pricing for models. Sorry, I can't pronounce your name. I'm sorry. Anyway, you're asking how to price your 3D model, organic and inorganic. Okay. Now, when it comes to selling models online, right? That's one of the ways you can earn money. And again, as a freelance artist, what you want to do is have many different ways to get your income, right? Don't have one client where you send one invoice every month, because if something happens to that client, then you're in trouble, right? So try to diversify, have 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 different income streams, right? So do some local work for businesses, sell some models online, and so forth and so on, right? Now, when it comes to selling 3D models online, of course, you need to understand what the going rate is. So if somebody sells a great car on an average for $20 and you go out and ask $200, you're never going to sell anything, right? If you sell it for $2, you're not going to make a profit either. So you need to understand the quality of models being sold and what they go for. And then you need to calculate, okay, how much time do I spend making a model like this, right? It's the same with, let's say, stock photography. If you make a 3D model and it takes you 40 hours to make it, and you're earning $1 for every sale, how many times do you have to sell it before you make any profit at all, right? So selling 3D models online on the side as a passive income, why not if you're making the models anyway, right? Making models specifically for that purpose, I would advise against it, because that's not the best use of your time, in my opinion, right? Let's see. I'm into saying, can I earn by selling my models through my own websites? Well, you can, but keep in mind that you have websites out there that sell 3D models, and they have millions and millions and millions and millions of viewers, right? And millions of people posting models. How are you going to compete with them? How are you going to get people to your websites to buy your models? Now, the thing is this. If you have a personal, strong network and you have a lot of followers that know you and know your work, then it's a different thing. I mean, why do people buy merchandise from Casey Neistat? Because everybody knows who he is, right? If nobody knew him, nobody would look at his website, nobody would buy his stuff. That's how it works. Okay, any other questions? You're welcome. I mean, any other questions related to budgeting, to how to set up the business, to calculating how much money you need? How much money do you need to make per model, per day, per week? What are write-offs? All that business stuff, right? I saw somebody make a funny comment. What is money? Okay, so another question related to that Google AdSense stuff. Again, that is passive income, and I would do it on the side, but as far as making good money, definitely not. Let's see. Okay, so Jonathan, you are out of here. I'm just going to remove you. Thank you. All right. Okay, so let's see. Lightning Lad, how much can I ask per hour for models and short animations? Okay, so let's say you're working as a freelance and you have a question from a client to make a model, right? I'll talk about the model first, then I'll talk about the animation. Okay, there are two ways to approach this, right? One is you can say, okay, well, it took me 10 hours to make the model. I typically have a rate of about $40 an hour, so the model is going to cost 400, right? That's one way of doing it. And I would not necessarily say that is the method, because there's a difference between making a model for your next door neighbor and making a model for IBM or Apple or Virgin Airlines or something like that. Because if you make a model for a huge client, they are going to make a lot of money off of that model. And you can question whether that's fair or not. First of all, their process is much more strict. They will have you change things 2 times, 5 times, maybe even 10 times, right? So I could sell a model to my next door neighbor for $50, but to a large client for $50,000, right? Big difference. Let's see, Consisto, how much time would you put in to make an X amount of money and call it worth it? Right. Okay, that's a good question. Well, there are a couple of steps between not being a freelance full-time artist and being a freelance full-time artist, right? And what you would do is you would go there step by step. So what most people do is they have a job, they work in a store, or they work, I don't know, driving a truck or whatever, and they start to make income on the side as a 3D artist, right? Unless you have, your master's degrees in animation, you come out of college and you want to go straight in, right? But anyway, I would advise to jump in as a freelance straight away. So let's say that's the case. So what you do is you start to create passive income. You sell some models online, you build your personal network, people start to know you, right? So maybe you have, let's say, $50 a week or something like that. And it's nice money, but it's not an income, okay? Now, when you decide to let go of your steady income because you feel, okay, now I got so much going on, I'm going to take that risk, then you do your business plan. Now, your business plan involves basically 2 things, right? It's cost and it's income. Now, income, you don't know yet, but you do know costs. Because if you do your homework, right? Right now, you're paying rent, you need to eat, you need to pay the electricity bill, you have all that kind of stuff. So you know what your living cost is. That's category A. So bucket A is living cost. Bucket B is, okay, how much cost do I have being a 3D artist? I need to pay for new hardware every 2, 3, 4 years. I need to pay monthly fees for my software. So that's bucket number 2, right? So these two combined, and then a third bucket where it says incidentals, as in I didn't see that coming, something broke, I need to replace it fast, whatever. So these three together is the total amount of money you need in a month, right? Now, how much hours a month do you have realistically to make that money back, right? Okay, so on Monday, you're talking to clients, doesn't pay the bills. On Tuesday, you're driving to and from clients, doesn't pay the bills. On a Wednesday and Thursday, you're actually working. And on Friday, half day, you're working. So you got 2.5 days a week to earn that money back. But earning that money back doesn't make you a profit. So you need to make more than that. So all of that calculated together will tell you exactly how much you need to make in a day, how much you need to make in an hour. So if you then have a model that takes you 3 hours, you know what to charge for that model, right? Long story, but hopefully it makes sense. Problem is, though, when your calculation is, okay, I need to have $500 for that model, everybody else is selling it for $50. So you're not going to sell it, which the conclusion might be, I should not become a freelance artist. And that's kind of how you need to approach that, right? Okay, let's see. Would I ever recommend working for free to gain experience? The simple answer to that is no, I would not. I would not do that unless it's for a good cause, unless it's, to support a friend, to support family. Working for free, keep in mind, if you're working for free, you are screwing over other 3D artists, really, right? So I'll give you an idea. I got a computer here, I got monitors here, I got software, I got all of that stuff, right? And my software is paid for. I don't use illegal software, and I don't advise you to do that, right? So I got a bill that I have to pay every month just to cover my cost. Now, somebody else goes out there and says, okay, I'll work for a client for free. So what the customer is going to do is he's going to work for you, with you, right? Not with me. So you're hurting me, right? Then 3 months later, 4 months later, you're on a forum and I need somebody to work in a project with me, right? And I'm going to pay you. I see your name. I know you're out there working for free. Do you think I'm going to hire you? No way, right? Now, although there are a lot of 3D artists out there, keep in mind that this is a very small world, and people will know in a heartbeat who the people are that go out there and work for free. So I would not do it, okay? All right, let's see. What else, guys? Any money stuff, invoicing stuff, budgeting stuff, buying stuff, selling stuff? Let's see. I'm just going to skip the questions, guys, that are not on topic, because otherwise we're going to be way out there, right? Let's see. Any favorite sites where I sell my models? Well, first of all, I don't sell a lot of models anymore because I'm simply too busy. And I did that at some point as a passive income, but I really don't need to do that anymore because I'm busy with other stuff. When it comes to selling models online, of course, there are a couple of big ones. You got Turbo Squid, and I think you got CG Trader and a couple of others. The thing there is this. Some sites will give you a bigger percentage than others, right? Some give you, let's say, 40%, some other give you 25%. The problem is, though, that one website has, 2 million people looking at it a month, and the other 200,000. So although your percentage is higher, the sales are probably lower. So you need to decide for yourself which one you want to do, right? Let's see. So this is kind of on topic. Let's see. Hang on. Because Sisto was saying, can we do both? What do you mean, can we do both? Selling models and working for clients? If that's your question, yes, of course. And I did that for a long time. Or do you mean, can we do both, as in CG Trader and Turbo Squid? You can do that too, right? Okay, so Bojanman, okay. So what's the best way, according to you, to get noticed and hired? Behance, ArtStation, etc. Good question. Now, the thing is this, do you need a good ArtStation page? Yes, you do, right? And I have done video reviews of ArtStation pages in the past. So that's extremely important. When it comes to 3D artists, ArtStation is the way to go, for sure, right? The thing is this, though, ArtStation is not enough by itself. You need to do a lot more than that. Like I said, you need to be online, you need to be present, you need to be active in forums, you need to be professional, you need to be courteous. Don't piss off people, don't crap on people, just be professional, right? Now, once you do that over a period of time, people will start to understand who you are, how you work. I'll give you an example of one of my favorite people, and that's Henry Cervenka. Now, Henry Cervenka is in my Facebook group. I met Henry a long time ago. He was a participant in one of my 3D modeling challenges, right? He won 3 years in a row, became extremely popular in the group and outside the group. And as a result of that and his hard work and being professional, he is working full time and he is a great artist, right? So he just got it. He understood what he needed to do, right? I mean, do your thing, do it well, be professional, and don't do the thing where you go out online and crap over everybody because you don't like their work, right? Okay, so let's see. Somebody is throwing a lot of crap on here. Let's get rid of that person. Hang on. All right, let's see. Making money from models or animation. Okay, so I promised to answer the other question as well. So typically you can make more money with animation than with models because it takes longer, right? Now, it's kind of a personal thing. If you like working with clients over a longer period of time, then maybe animation is your thing. Because animation is, let's say you're working for an industrial client, right? You have a commercial, you got a bag of potato chips dancing up and down on the desk, whatever. The whole process takes longer. You have more meetings with the client. You have to talk with the client about, tweaks and changes and whatnot. So you may be working for that client for several weeks or even months, right? Which is typically not the case for a model. So you would probably have less clients, but will make more money, right? So Chris is saying, how am I doing today? I'm doing fine, Chris. Thanks for asking. Hey, Francesco, how are you? Let's see, still studying Maya because I feel sure enough to pay the license. What would be the first step? Better to do. Let me see if I understand your question, buddy. Still studying Maya because I don't feel sure enough to pay the license. What would the first step better to do to work for? Okay, well, first of all, and I think you are not online when I answer that, I wouldn't start off as a freelancer for sure, because the way you have to look at it is like this. Working freelance is a huge amount of freedom, right? I can basically do anything I want whenever I want. The problem is that is a huge, huge, huge risk. Okay? But if it works, it works. And that's the thing. I mean, if I don't want to take that risk, I will look for a studio job and I will get a monthly paycheck and I'm done, right? But I don't have a lot of flexibility. I mean, I have to go to my office and work for my boss, and it's a job, right? As a freelance artist, it's different. You need to slowly progress into that role and slowly build up your money situation. Now, the thing is this, if you are 18 and living in your mom's basement, right, and you don't have any monthly expenses, it's much, much easier to become a freelance artist than someone who, for example, is 35 years old, is married, has 2 kids and a house, right? Hey, Heather, how are you? So let's see. Okay, so Bojanman 2 is saying, my tutor film industry studio is an expert in motion capture and animation. How much would you earn if you were a texture artist? Because I really hate animation. Okay. Well, first of all, you don't have to do everything. You have generalists who basically know a little bit about everything, right? They do a little bit of modeling, a little bit of animation, a little bit of texturing, and then you have specialists. Now, I talked about this in previous videos where there's something called a T model, as in letter T, right? A T model artist, meaning that the horizontal part, right, that is a very generic, broad area of knowledge, but it's limited, right? So you know a little bit about everything. Then the vertical part of that T, right, that's a specialty. So there's one thing that you're really good at, right? Now, specialists make more money, but there's less work for specialists in the sense that there may be 5 jobs out there for specialists and 500 jobs from generalists. Now, if you decide to make all your money as a specialist, you have to be very, very, very good, right? And the competition is crazy. As a generalist, it's okay. So I advise to do both until somebody comes along and hires you as a specialist. Now, if you don't like animation, you're probably never going to be any good at it. So I would just forget that, right? Choose something you love and try to get really good at it. For example, one of the things that makes a lot of money is a lighting specialist, okay? Let's see. Okay, so question about animation workflow. No, because we're talking about money today, and I kind of want to stay on target here. Let's see. Can I make money by uploading an animated short into YouTube? Probably not. I mean, if you have an existing YouTube channel and you already have 80,000 or 100,000 followers, maybe you'll make some money, but in general, you wouldn't. It's good to get exposure for your work, though, but yeah. Let's see. Why do companies always ask for experience in 3D modeling or animation, and how much scope is there in 3D that we get a job out of India, right? Well, why they ask for experience is pretty obvious, right? I mean, if I want somebody to fix my car, hang on one sec, guys. Ben live streamen, ja? Hoi. Sorry about that. So let's see, where was I at? Kind of lost my thought there. Okay, so the experience in 3D, right? Yeah, that was the phone. So they ask for experience because if I want somebody to work on my car, right, and I know I'm going to pay that person to work on my car, I want to know that they know what they're doing, right? If they have no experience whatsoever, I might hire them to help out in the garage, but I wouldn't let them touch my car, right? So it's kind of obvious for them to ask that, okay? Now, the other question is there any scope of making money as a 3D artist living in India? Well, increasingly so. I mean, more and more companies are working with remote teams. So, for example, last year at Animago, they had a project where they had virtual teams in Quebec, Canada, in Madrid, somewhere in Italy, all over the world, right? They would work together in a project and then a certain amount of time, and then when the project was done, they would just quit, right? So yeah, I think it's possible. Let's see. Yeah, I was saying, Andre saying something about a lighting specialist. If you want to have a specialty where you very specifically do one thing and you're into that kind of thing, lighting is a well sought after job. So if you are really good in lighting scenes, the probability of you getting hired and getting a good paycheck is there for sure, right? Let's see. Triple B is saying, thanks for the live stream. How much would you ask for your first game assets? Would you go a little bit above or under the average competition asset price? Okay. Well, I talked about that a little bit already, but first of all, you kind of need to be in line with the market is asking, but there's a big difference in quality. Um, People tend to pay more for models when they know your quality is consistent. Even if you sell models on, let's say, TurboSquid or whatnot, if I buy one of your models and I find that the UVs are crap and the tessellation isn't any good and the outliner is a mess and whatnot, I'll never buy from you again, right? However, if I buy something from you and I know it's perfect, I will become a steady client of yours, right? And more people will do that. And then at some point, you wouldn't really even need TurboSquid anymore because you would have your own customer base. So quality is everything, and you are basically competing with yourself, right? So if your work is consistent, if you get better and better and better, then you are allowed to ask more money, right? Let's see. So Kirilio, I hope I pronounced that right. What's a better way to indicate specified time to do a graphic job? I'm trying to read between the lines. I think what you're saying here, but correct me if I'm wrong. I think what you're saying is, should you give a fixed price for a project, or should you ask money per hour, day, and so forth? Can you please clarify that? Let's see. Currently specializing towards the film industry rather than gaming, or do you face more competition as an individual for enrolling in a film studio or a gaming studio? Okay, that's a good question. Well, the thing is this: the game industry and the movie industry are moving closer together more and more. It's kind of like you have the gaming industry on one hand, you have the movie industry on the other, and you have the industry in the middle, right? And with the industry, I mean, I don't know, a commercial for Adidas or for Nike or whatever. And because movies have more and more CG in them, right? And the games have more and more mocap in them, they're starting to look alike more and more, right? Now, in general, because of the way game companies work and render using game engines, it's, and I don't want to offend anybody here, but it's slightly easier to work in the game industry than to work in the movie industry, right? And because it's easier, typically the pay is less. And also the work speed is much, much higher. The pressure to get a new game product out there is much higher than comparably to a movie. I mean, let's say a movie like Toy Story or whatnot, they would work on that with 200 people for like 4 years. I don't know of a game studio on the planet that can allow to work on something for 4 years, right? And that's because of the audience. There's so many people that are willing to spend money to look at that and so forth, right? Let's see. Just reading some stuff here, guys. Trying to find remote jobs. Okay, so question here. I struggle to find remote jobs as a senior CG animator living in Brazil. The general job offers are on-site in Canada, US, and UK. Right. So, and I'm assuming we're talking about, okay, so animator, so movie business, right? Now, like I said, this is a development that's starting to change, and it started to change, in my opinion, I would say 2.5 years ago. More and more people start to work remote. It kind of depends on what type of project it is, and the biggest issue, and probably for you the biggest concern, is the fact that you have to work with NDAs. And for those of you who don't know what that is, an NDA is a non-disclosure agreement. Basically, you sign a contract saying that you won't say a word and you won't share anything about what you're working on. Because if you're working on a new movie and you're going to tell everybody about the movie and whatnot, you know, it's going to hurt the company. Now, for that reason, and usually for that reason, primarily, they don't want to have stuff outside of their studio because it's hard to protect that, right? Now, what you could do is specifically ask, if you're working remote, if you can work on non-NDA stuff, right? So basically, you don't get information on the project. They just send you an email and saying, okay, here's a concept piece. I need this table. And they're not going to tell you what it's for, what the movie name is, what the movie is about, and whatnot, right? And if you approach them that way, you will increase your chances, right? Let me just get some coffee here, guys. Let's see. Okay, how to deal with clients taking a first job? Good question. When it comes to clients, it's always kind of a give and take situation when it comes to negotiating, right? Now, for those of you who don't know that, I've been in procurement and in contracting, all that kind of stuff for like 25 years, right? So whenever you get into a negotiation, if you will, you have a certain price in your mind and a certain amount of work you want to do for that price. They have a price in their mind and they have a certain amount of stuff they want for that price, right? And usually you're not on the same page. That's why it's a negotiation, okay? All right. So then what you do is you try to find common ground. The thing is, you have a certain number in your head that will make you unhappy. And you don't want to be unhappy, because if you're unhappy, you're going to create poor work. If you're going to create poor work, you're going to lose clients and you're going to be miserable and you're going to quit your job, right? So my advice is, when you're dealing with clients, just be firm. Be fair, but be firm, right? Know your stuff. This is the amount of money I need to make to do this, right? And either you're okay with that or you're not. And if you're not okay with that, give me a good explanation and a reasonable explanation why. And if I think you have good arguments, we're going to talk about it. If not, I'm going to stick to my number, right? So Silva makes good coffee. Well, come over and make some coffee then. Let's see. Okay, any questions? Because I didn't see any questions from you guys about setting up a business plan, setting up a business budget, right? Calculating your costs, calculating your profits, calculating how much you need to make per hour, per day, per week, write off, all that business stuff, right? Now, I know that creative people are usually not very business-like people, but that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this stream in the first place, right? So let's see, any other finance or money stuff? Okay, well, the question, how much money can I earn in VFX job in India, is impossible for me to answer, because that depends on whether you are physically in India and working for, let's say, a company in the US or working for a company in India. And then again, it depends on what you're working for, what you're doing, whether it's modeling or animation and so forth and so on, okay? Let's see, pretty long question here. Recent college graduate in computer animation, where should I start my career? Should I sell models? Should I apply to big studios? Or should I run my own company with the skills I earned? Okay, well, obviously I haven't seen your work, so I don't know how good you are. But the thing is this, even if you are completely brilliant as an animator, there's a thing in the industry where you need to pay your dues. Now, I don't know if all of you understand what that means. Basically, everybody that works in the industry spend a tremendous amount of time, energy, and money to get to the spot where they are. And they kind of believe that you need to pay your dues. So you need to earn your spot in that company. So even if you're completely brilliant, you will have to invest an amount of time being the young guy or girl in a company that, empties the rubbish bins and gets coffee for people and does the shitty work, if you know what I mean, right? And at a certain point in time, if you're really good, they will give you opportunities. And they will ask you to help them, and they will teach you, and you will learn from them. And that's really valuable. So I would definitely do that, right? Would I, as a recent graduate, start my own company? That's just a personal choice. If you don't have a lot of overhead in the sense of cost for living, and you're living at your parents and you don't have any cost, and you already have hardware and software, why not? Any other situation, it's so risky, I wouldn't do that, right? Okay, so this is an excellent question. What's the process of making money from crowdfunding? Now, I love that question. Okay, so crowdfunding, and you probably all know what that is, right? So crowdfunding, Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and whatnot, is basically where you have the idea to do a project or develop a game or create something, right? And you talk about that on the crowdfunding page, and you basically tell people, okay, get on board, believe in me, fund money, right? Put money in. And if I hit my mark, right, I will go out and I'll create this game or whatever I promised, and I will deliver it to you, right? So that's how that works. The crowdfunding platform typically takes a bite out of that. The rest of the money goes to you, but it's not pocket money. You promise something that you need to deliver on, right? Now, a lot of companies now use this as a business model. Game studios will come up with a game concept and will basically put it through crowdfunding, and they will start to work on it once the money is in. The perfect thing here is the business risk is zero, right? They already have the money in pocket before they start to make the product. In the past, a company would make a product, and if they didn't sell it, they'd be in trouble, right? So there you go. So I'm into saying how much software do I use as a freelance? Well, because I do YouTube, I use a lot of different types of software. Freelance artists, typically not so much. I would say in order for you to make a living as a 3D artist, a couple of things you need, right? Depending on what your workflow is. You need a modeling application. This can be Maya, it can be 3ds Max, it can be Blender, depending on your preference, right? Okay, then you need a texturing application. If that's something you do, you can do that in Maya, you can do that in 3ds Max, but you can also do it in, let's say, Substance Painter, and if you make your own, in Substance Designer. But you have Marmoset Toolbag, you have 3D Code, you have other applications as well, right? Okay, so let's say you rig and animate. Well, again, Maya. Do you do digital sculpting? ZBrush. So you can have all of these or just a few, right? Kind of depending on what you do. Okay, so triple B, good question again. So is the money the key factor for me to go freelance, or is it the freedom? Let me see. In my personal situation, I would definitely say it's the freedom, right? I mean, if you are a restless person, if you know what that means, and you want to do your thing, and you're restricted because you're working for a studio and you don't have time to work on your personal projects, and you're working on stuff you don't find interesting, and you're not growing as a person, and you're not learning, and so on and so forth, then you lean towards freelance. Now, freelance is something that you love or you hate. If you are a entrepreneur, by heart, then you will end up there working as a freelance at some point. It can take a short time, it can take a long time, but you will definitely do that, right? Other people, they would not sleep anymore, ever, because they would be so stressed out because of all the risks. What if I don't have a paycheck next month? What if the customer doesn't pay? What if, right? So it's a really personal question that you have to ask yourself. Okay, so struggle forever is talking out of his whatever. So bye-bye. Let's see. Okay, rigging face, not going to talk about that. It's not on topic. How much money do you ask for a good game asset? Ooh, that can be anything. Well, a good game asset, AAA quality, that can be anything from a couple of hundred to thousands, depending on what type of model it is, depending on the requirement for the riggers, for the animators, and so forth, right? Let's see. What is the best source of income for 3D modeling artists? I'm going to be really honest here. I know this is an answer that most of you don't want to hear, but I'm going to say it anyway, right? The reality is that the most 3D artists make the main portion of their money from industrial clients. So what do I mean? When you decide to become a 3D artist, most people do that because they want to work in a game studio or in a movie studio, that kind of stuff, right? Now, the reality is that most people, I just got distracted here. Damn it, lost my thought. Okay, yeah, industry. Okay, so the reality is that industrial clients, right? They have a budget. They got usually a lot more money to pay 3D artists. So let's say you have a company that makes kitchens, right, or cars or something like that. They have a huge budget. They work long term with 3D artists, so you can work for a client for years, and they pay well, right? Now it's maybe not the coolest thing, right? But they pay well. And what most people do, in my experience, is they work with 3D game studios when they can. They work with film studios when they can. And when they don't have jobs from either, what they will do is they will work for industrial clients, right? Okay. Okay, so I just bumped Struggle Forever because he is being a bit annoying. So I'll just hide that comment there. Okay, so let's see. Is it crucial in the 3D industry to work as a team where everybody is pretty good in their field, or to be an expert in all yourself? Which way would you earn more money? Well, you need to kind of do both. I mean, I'll give you an example. Let's say you get a question to model a game prop, a table. Okay, fine. You can do it by yourself, right? Let's say you get a question to model and texture a complete Wild West cowboy scene, right? Now, this might be 4 months of work, but it will pay $80,000, right? Now, you can go and say, well, I'm not going to do that. I can't afford to spend 4 months on one project because I got other clients. Or you can say, as a freelance artist, I'm going to work together with other freelance artists, and we're going to work on this as a team. So then you build a team. Now, what's even cooler is if you do this on occasion and you do this more than once, you kind of have this freelance team going on. And companies will know this, and they will know, okay, you can do big projects and small projects, and that will make it more interesting for you. Let's see, what else? My goal is to make characters for games, and I found myself making characters for a movie and series I hate, but yeah, okay. Well, yeah, sometimes you have to do stuff that you don't want to do, but, especially when you're working freelance, I mean, you got to pay the bills, right? Okay, so how much money do they pay for a rigging artist? Well, it depends on your experience. It depends on where you live. Okay, so we've got a, okay. Looks like we got a bit of a backlog going on there. Suddenly my screen is going nuts and I see all sorts of spam going on and whatnot. So I'll just let that settle down and have a sip of coffee here. All right, so any other specific questions on the money? Yeah, I think it's spam. Let's see. Looks, I don't know what the hell that is. We got all sorts of stuff flying over the screen right now. I'll see if I can pick up a question anywhere in between all of this mess here. Okay, let's see if I can read that before it's off the screen. I'd like to know how to charge a client if you want a character modeling for 3D printing and produce a lot of them. Do we need to raise my price? Okay, excellent question by S. Prod, right? So when it comes to license types, right, and this is again very comparable to photography, right? Let's say I create something for you for personal use, right? Or I create something for you for a movie, or I create something for you for a movie, and then you go out and do merchandise and make a lot of puppets and whatnot and make $500 million, right? Is it fair for me to get a percentage? Of course. It's my intellectual property, right? Now, when you are working for a studio as an employee, you don't get that, right? I mean, you work and you're working for them. It's their idea and their concept and whatnot, right? However, if I work as a freelance artist and I work for a company and they ask me to create something that they're going to put on their merchandise, I get a percentage, right? So I will get a royalty. And I will contractually agree to that before I start working with that client. So if they tell me, okay, we are going to create a movie and your whatever it is, my character or whatnot, is in that movie and it's a prominent figure. I mean, so not like a table or something, but let's say, I don't know, Woody in Pixar, right? Then you'll say, okay, if you merch this, then I get a percentage. And then you have a royalty fee. That's how that works, right? Okay, so can you make a living selling stock 3D assets? Well, it's possible, but not likely. I mean, there are a few people that are specialists. They do cars. For example, I know a person, they make Ford vehicles. So the brand Ford cars, vehicles, and they're really good at it. And the Ford company hires them as well. So that's one way. I know another person that makes food, and specifically plated food. So hot wings and hamburgers and whatnot. And again, really good at it. So the key here is make sure that you're not good. Make sure you're really good, right? Okay, so let's see, some modeling questions. I'm not going to go there. Would a freelance studio client be happy to have you design as well as make texture models for them at a higher payment, or would they rather concept artists handle? Well, that's a question by Pronoy Dada. And again, I apologize to all of you guys for maybe mispronouncing your name. I'm trying, right? So what a client prefers or not kind of depends on your quality typically. I mean, if they start off with a concept artist, but after working with you for a while, they find that you are very, very strong as a concept artist yourself, why would they hire two people if they can hire one, right? It's kind of a, how strong is their relationship? Do they have a strong network with that person or not? But that kind of depends, right? Okay, so Upwork or Fiverr for money? I would say neither. Okay, so Contagious Rage is an interesting name, by the way. Don't riggers get paid the most due to the complex process as well as the animator? Can't animate a model isn't well rigged. No. I mean, do they get paid better than, let's say, a modeler? Yes, for sure. However, it very much depends on what the requirements are when it comes to animation. You can have a simple rig, you can have a complex rig. You have animators that can rig, you have riggers that can animate. So it's very much all over the place. The general rule of thumb, though, is that riggers make more than modelers, and animators make more than riggers and animators, modelers, sorry. Okay, so Anonymous Trade saying, I didn't mean to be disrespectful. I don't know what you're apologizing for. I don't think you did anything wrong. Okay. Let's see. Showcase as many types as you want. You don't specialize in one. Do you have to know how to work with Python and Maya? Well, it helps. But the thing is this, you don't know what you don't know, right? I get this question a lot from people saying, well, do I need to be able to know how to rig and animate and whatever, right? I mean, you know what you know, and you try to make that work, right? There's a minimum of what you need to know, but if there's an area where you don't know something, you don't know it. That's it. Okay. So James Barnes is saying, is this just on game development topics? No, not at all. This is making money in the 3D industry in any way, shape, or form. So we're talking about working freelance, working for a studio, game studio, film studio, working for industrial clients, selling models online, everything, right? Okay, let's see. So I'm glad that whole flying around on the screen thing is gone. Let's see. So James, you got any specific questions? I want to go another 5.5 minutes, guys. Then we're at a full hour, and I'll call it a day. Okay. Okay. So let's see. Pranoy is saying, can anybody make money poly modeling exclusively as a freelance scenario? Just being honest here, probably not. I think at the bare minimum, if you're working freelance, you should be able to model and the texture, right? Let's see here. I want to work in the architecture industry. Where should you start? Well, James, I don't know how long you've been online, but basically, regardless of what area you want to work in, one of the very first things you do is get online, get into appropriate forums that are related to the topic, make yourself known, post on a regular basis, comment on a regular basis in a professional way, and start to build your network from there, right? That's what I would advise. Let's see. Would it make sense to send the portfolios to through LinkedIn? I wouldn't just send out portfolios. I don't think that would be the way to go because they probably get many, and I don't think that would be a good idea. I would make sure, however, that I was in contact with somebody before I did that, right? Unless, of course, they have an opening and they're asking for something specific. Okay. Okay, guys. Well, I'm going to do one more question, okay? And then we'll call it a day. So let's see. Okay. I think I covered most. Okay, guys. Well, I think we're going to wrap it up. I want to thank you all so much. I will be doing a new stream soon. Thank you all so much. And just to say, guys, if you consider supporting my channel, I have a Patreon page, and it would mean the world to me. Okay, so thank you all so much, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.